What do they say when you get on a boat?
Dope Nostalgia presents
All aboard! Let's go!
Get ready
Red hot!
for Sail Away Sunday.
Hey, here we go!
One, two, girl, I see ya. Just sipping tequila. On her third shot of tequila. Está loca de la cabeza. 4, 5, 6, I see ya. Round 7 tequila. From every nation. We're sailing away. Hola, mama. Hola, mama. Hola, mama. Hola,
Live it up!
Hola, mama. Hola, mama. Hola, mama.
Live it up, girl, live it
It's time to join me with some special guests as we relive the Sail Away to Half Moon Cay NKOTB Cruise 2022. Welcome back to the show. Thank you so much for making time today.
Happy to be here. This is becoming one of my favorite places to be, Naomi. Thank you so much for
Hey,
even
man, it's
inviting
a
me
pleasure.
back. I appreciate you so much, and we got a chance to meet.
I know. How often is it? I never get a chance to actually meet the people I talk to. So this was so exciting to finally see you in person and watch you do your thing on stage, and just what an incredible time.
And we hung out quite a few times because it seemed like the probability of running into some of the fans of people that you already know and things. I mean, that's inevitable, but we ran into each other about at least 8 times that ended up in the same space or where we were. I'm like, is God trying to tell me something? What's going on here? 'Cause that doesn't happen very often.
No,
I was
that's
like,
pretty
oh
spicy.
shit, okay,
Yeah, especially when you got like 3,000 people on one boat.
that part.
Yeah. When you
Oh
got
yeah.
to, when did you get to Miami?
I got into Miami that Monday because, for most of my fans that kind of know my history and stuff like that with all the corporate gigs I've been doing, when I first got started with that realm of performing, we used to do a lot of gigs on South Beach, right in front of Wet Willie's. A lot of my guys used to come out front, right there on Collins. They were like, "What you know about?" I said, "Man, are you kidding me?" I said, "Been living this Miami life long before most of y'all. Y'all don't even have a clue of the kind of stuff that we were doing during that period." And you come back and see all these old hotels and different areas. My cousin Tori, my first DJ, he had lived out there for a while, so I used to just come out there just to hang. And then my boys Duo Live, that I grew up with in Bed-Stuy, they were hustling hard down there with their music. And one day I just happened to be there. I look outside, I'm like, hold up, I know that truck anywhere. And I came up on the truck. I said, "Sit and V," and they screamed. They was like, "What the hell are you doing?" So I have a lot of history with Miami. We used to do a lot of shows for Tommy Hilfiger and his family. I'm actually close to one of his nephews. So I said, you know what? I haven't been to Miami in a while because most of the gigs that I've been doing have been either in West Palm Beach or Orlando. So I'm just like, oh, we in Miami? I'm like, it's been a minute. Let me use the 2 free days to come up there because I know I was going to run into some of the other fans as well, probably around the city, because y'all know anytime that the new kids do anything in any town, the blockheads take over. So you're liable to run into fans in the store. I mean, when they did the Fenway show, I ran into 7 of my fans who I've known forever in a CVS. So if that doesn't tell you, what were the chances? A CVS?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's not like I'm looking for people to recognize me. I'm just doing my regular shopping, trying to just get it popping like everybody else. And I'm like, all of a sudden, I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, we done took over the whole town, huh? Like, we really done
Well,
did some things here.
I figured, okay, Miami is the port for so many cruise destinations all the time. I figured it's constant, got to be tourists. But I
Absolutely.
noticed that like every place you'd go to, they were expecting New Kids fans. Like it was like, we really did take over Miami.
Yeah.
And
But
I
that's
was like,
every town, though.
wow.
I mean, every situation, not even just new kids. I mean, any type of boy band related or just groups that really have an extreme amount of popularity, whether they be new school or old school. That's a perfect example. I had a studio session. This was about a month ago. So I go into the city because everybody knows the only time I leave my house, if it ain't my grandkids or studio or rehearsal or gym, I rarely leave my house. So it's almost like for me, I come out. So I get to the city and I'm on the train and shit. I get out. Now, mind you, I'm wondering why the train's getting more packed by the stop. I'm like, okay, it's 4 or 5 o'clock. Is it a hockey game? Is it something? And guess, I went outside. And right there, you know, Penn Station is connected to Madison Square Garden. So literally,
Yeah.
when you come off, I came up, all I just saw was people in disco ball costumes and all kind of shit. And then the more I kept walking, seeing the line, there were a lot like quadruple lines. And then it hit me. Harry Styles is in town. Because remember, Harry Styles got he's been doing the whole 21 nights thing that he's been doing. It was a sold out show every damn night. Because my daughter's a huge Harry Styles fan as well as I am. So it's like, the crazy thing is just that I didn't even recognize, but it took me a while to hit. So when you have movements like his or New Kids in any town, it could be New York, it could be Wisconsin for all I care, they're going to take over that town.
Yep. That's
just the way it is. So I wasn't surprised too much with New Kids. It's almost like, okay, it's been a minute. You know, the cruise was postponed, as we all know. So now here we are for some of us back in Miami, because remember, it's my first New Kids cruise. But of course, I have a history with Miami already. So I'm just anticipating. I already knew. I'm like, they're going to take over the town. And showing up the night that I went out to go hang out for karaoke, I ran into like at least 15 or 20 of my fans and people that were just here for the concert, people who I never even met that were here for the New Kids thing. And this is in a most unlikely place.
I love that you made it to both karaoke's that night too. You know?
Well, yeah,
I turned around and there you are, and I was so excited to see you. It was amazing.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, like I said before, you know, the fans have my heart. A lot of them, you know, of course, as I told you when I was in the show the last time, the history of how I even became close with some of them is because, you know, just me being me, and in the reference of talking about the history of music and talking about, you know, certain groups and boy bands and things like that, and then giving a little bit of my history. And then one person that happened to be a blockhead, which I didn't even know at the time, it just came out of nowhere. They're like, we've been reading your tweets about the history of some great groups, and we love all those groups, but I got to ask you something. Are you a New Kids on the Block fan? And I was like, they're in my top 5. And then once that word got out, it's like 2009. This is like 2008, 2009, right around the time when New Kids had just got back together and the whole bit. I'm just like, I was just as happy as everybody else. So to see that, it still just warms my heart to be around people that love the same things that I loved in retrospect. And I'm different from the average fan because I'm an artist. I think that's the reason why a lot of fans do, you know, get with me per se in terms of like respecting me and coming to see my shows or listen to what I have to say, because let's keep it honest. Most artists, you know, back then, you know, some did, but a lot of artists didn't show a lot of other artists love, and especially in the case of New Kids on the Block, because in a lot of ways they were the top of the cream, but they were also, in most people's eyes, the bottom of the totem pole. They're like, you know, who are these guys? The critics, you know, the critics that always had something to say about what they were doing and all this other shit. So in a lot of ways, for some people who were teased about being fans of them or New Edition or Menudo or any one of the 80s boy band, even when it came to the 90s, people like Jodeci and Boyz II Men, there was still a lot of guys hating on that aspect too. They were like, well, this is definitely a little bit more edgy than the guys that we love, but why are you hating on them? So then all of a sudden you have all this confusion of everything else. So for me, getting among the people has always been a thing with me. Even back then, before any of this hoopla began, I'm the kind of person, when I do a show, the only time I go backstage except for to prepare, is to change my shirt. I like to get out among the people and just get a vibe of if they enjoyed the show, you know, and then you learn so much. You know, I'm an artist, not afraid to listen to what some of the fans have to say, or just in general, just taking in the love and just understanding that I'm personable, because I know it's going to come a point in time where I'm not going to always be able to do that. So I cherish that, you know?
Yeah. Take in that moment. I love that you get to know everybody and talk to everybody and feel what their experience was through the whole
Absolutely.
thing.
As it should be.
But yeah, well, you were saying, like, I mean, that's just an example. People used to want to tear down whoever's at the top, you know? It's like some kind of jealousy.
Yeah, I've learned that.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny to me, because I'm just almost like, you know, and I'm just so glad that our fellas, my big brothers, never gave into that. I think they're living proof that when you play by your own rules of trajectory, you can't lose. I mean, I love what Donnie said on the Coming Home DVD when he was like, I mean, I already knew, but I like to hear him say, he's like, over the years, there have been many offers for us to get back together, but none of it felt right to me. He said, because my thing is, he knew that it had to be organic. He knew that everybody had to be all inclusive. And also because if they would have, he made a very good point. He said, if we would have got together for just these people's agenda and not the love of our fans, or because it's something that we might have been interested in, and then God forbid if the performance would have been whack or if it would have been rushed, or then we set ourselves up for failure. But because we did it on our own terms and everything was organic, from the music to the posturing to how we can do that. I mean, look at us now. I mean, what, almost 13, 12 years since they got back together. They don't even feel like it. That's the funny shit. It doesn't even feel like they went away.
The timing was
just so
perfect.
crazy.
And the album was perfect. The block
My favorite
was
album. My favorite album.
The songwriting, the collaborations, just everything about it. It is still my favorite New Kids album.
Yes, absolutely. And the only reason why I say that to people who may be watching, because everybody's like, what am I? The reason why The Block is my favorite album, and honestly, their best album, notwithstanding Unwrapped and 10, because I love those albums too, by the way. I love all of them. But The Block is my favorite album because The Block combines the original sounds of the first 3 or 4 albums. Because Face the Music is basically, if they would have kept going, more of the music that they made up until The Block would have been just like Face the Music. It would have been literally, we're grown now, we're in this maturity lane. Donnie and Danny was producing like crazy at that point because they were doing other projects besides New Kid stuff.
Some New Jack Swing. And I loved it.
Yeah, exactly. And they had the feel of it had the commercialism of Hanging Tough, but it had the maturity of Step by Step, because Step by Step was the one level or step, no pun intended, the one step that was perfect setup for Face the Music. So The Block pretty much encompasses all of that. You hear all those influences of the first 4 albums in that one album.
I remember buying that album and taking it to work with me and getting the kitchen guys to, I was like, put this on. And the guys were all like, New Kids, really? And I'm like, yeah, put it on. They would not stop playing it for over a week. I couldn't get my CD back.
I believe it. I totally believe it. You know, some people, you know, unfortunately, and I hate to say this, unfortunately, when it comes to consumers, not all of us fans that love music. I only cater to the people that love more than 5 styles of music. Y'all know that. But a lot of people who are narrow-minded and only got locked into one phase. And that's the reason why, and I'm not going to make it a somber moment, but rest in peace to Aaron Carter. Yes. You know, because I had the pleasure, I don't know if you read my story on Facebook. I'm going to probably post on Instagram after I'm done doing this thing with you, because, you know, I had a chance to hang with Aaron Carter. You know, I worked with Nick. I already hung with Nick, met Nick, worked with him, and that's my favorite Backstreet Boy. But I met Aaron at a time when the focus was not even on his music anymore. It was more so about, you know, as we all know, the addictions and things that he was struggling and dealing with. And all I brought up was the conversation of the fact that I remember seeing an old interview with him and Nick where they talked about their love for funk music and hip hop and how they grew up. And his whole face lit up when I mentioned that interview. He's like, I said, dude, that's one of the reasons why I became a fan of you and your brother. I said, because I knew there was always something different about y'all as opposed to the other members of the whole Backstreet Boys movement. And then Nick's voice was always very soulful to me. I'm like, he has something extra about the tenor of his voice, and it explained a lot. So it made him smile because, you know, for him, he had already got categorized being a former child star. Remember, Aaron's Party, he was 9 years old, if I'm not mistaken. He recorded at 9, 10 years old. And my thing is that, you know, he done grew. He's getting more into music. And then when the record labels and people just won't let go of the 9-year-old version of you, it's a struggle. So between that, which could cause depression, you know, Michael went through that for a minute. He went through that phase for a minute when he felt like people wanted for him to sound the same way he did when he was 10 years old. But when his voice became to have that grown man texture, he didn't embrace it right away. So a lot of people don't know this about Michael. Michael didn't embrace his grown man voice right away. It took him a while to actually embrace the fact that his voice was changing.
It was probably scary to him at first because he didn't know what was going to happen to his career.
Well, Usher too, believe it or not. Usher went through that. The first album, between the first album and the My Way album, Usher's voice had changed too. And they were going to drop him, I heard. I think L.A. Reidin was going to drop him from the record label. I don't know how true it is, but I've heard a lot of stories saying that if he wouldn't have came out with You Make Me Wanna and Nice and Slow and all that,
Yeah.
Usher would have been a moderate hit wonder because he had a couple of hits off the first album, but thanks to My Way and thanks to him settling into his grown man voice and developing it more, I think that's the floodgates open for Usher. That's the reason why we're still talking about him now, you know. So it's interesting, but I had to just throw that in there because, you know, Aaron struggled with that, but that conversation that we had, that would be the only time I would meet him and hang out with him. And my friend that was there with me, she's like, I remember that conversation well. And I was like, you had his whole face lighting up, the fact that you knew what he was doing with the second album, Another Earthquake, because people never analyzed it the way that I did. Like I knew their history.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it just breaks my heart all around. So I actually spoke to Nick a couple of days ago, actually. So it's like very briefly. And I just wished him well and just, you know, kept him. I said, I got you in my prayers, man. You know, just stay as strong as you possibly can. But that's the reason why. So when people don't understand artistic merit and growth and things like that, it can really play a lot on your psyche. Because, you know, what Erykah Badu said, I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit. That's the realest thing ever said on a record.
It's making yourself vulnerable to thousands of people. You're completely laying yourself out there. And like going back to what I was saying about those guys listening to the CD and thinking, oh, New Kids on the Block. But then it's like they totally changed like their minds when they listened to it and realized, yeah, those guys always had it. They've always had the talent. And I think it's important for young artists who are coming up to see the difference when you've got a support system behind you, people who aren't yes men and people who don't. Because look at New Kids. They had people behind them to set them straight, take care of the money, take care of them, and make sure that they were embraced and taken care of as humans. So they grew up as amazing young men. They're great, right? They've done fine. But then it's so sad because so many kid stars don't get that. Yeah,
and the transition is not always a very smooth one. Michael had a smooth one for a while, but then of course, as we've seen, even after all the with his success, I mean, we gotta remember the Jackson 5 were huge already. So when Michael became the solo star, which became in a lot of ways even bigger than what he did with his brothers, and that's a whole other level of top tier that everybody's not always ready for. And Michael was prime rib because he already had the experience after 15, 14 years. But the emotional, as we all saw, the emotional toll that it took on him as a person, it's not always every day. New Edition went through the same things too, because keep in mind the transition that they had to make very much like New Kids in a lot of ways where it's like, okay, are they going to accept this part of who I am? You know, so in a lot of ways, thank God for Bobby Brown, because Bobby Brown knew who he was early. And that's why his solo thing became so huge, because Bobby was already doing that kind of stuff, like humping and doing all that stuff. New Edition. I love that song. And it was like, well, you can't do that here. And it's like, well, you know what? Since y'all kicked me out the group, that's why my prerogative was such an anthem, because he really felt that. He was like, listen, I can finally make the kind of music I want to make. I can gyrate and shake my ass and be as nasty as I want to be on stage. And guess what? He became the most unlikely pop star. He sold 20 million records. I can promise you.
He was a huge solo star.
Look, and it wasn't all black people. There you go. So
Humping Around, man. I bought that album when Humping Around came out. I thought
that's my favorite album, actually.
Oh yeah,
that's actually the third album. Third album.
Is that the third album?
Yeah.
Okay. I gotta get my facts straight.
No, it's not just. I'm just because I'm gonna tell you why. It's not even so much about getting your facts straight. It's more so because the King of Stage album was a great opening up for him. He had a couple of hits, Girlfriend, Girl Next Door. Don't Be Cruel became the massive success, but then a lot of people forget that Don't Be Cruel is not his first album.
That's where I got lost. Yeah.
That's what people. It's like Control. People for Janet Jackson. Control was so huge that people forgot she had 2 albums out before Control.
I know. It's so
You're not a diehard fan, but if you're not a diehard fan, you wouldn't know. Like me, I'm a diehard Jackson family fan, period. So everything that they did as a unit, as individuals, I bought it. So my thing was just that the true fans know. And Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, I love them because they correct people all the time. It's like, nope, let's get this straight. Before we came into the picture, my mentor, Leon Silver, all the guys that produced on Janet's first 2 albums. That's why if you notice, they always shouting out Leon Silver. It's like, thank God for Leon Silver for even just having a liking to us, because we probably would have never met Janet. We probably wouldn't have been around these people that opened the door for us to become a success as producers. So so it's not about you getting your facts straight. It's that fans naturally get confused. Like, oh, okay, that was the first. I said, yeah, because it was so big that you forgot about the first 2 albums or the first 1 album that they did. It happens.
Yep. No, it's true. It's true. I love how we have these conversations like this because it's just so much interesting stuff to learn, you know. And you were talking about Leon too on your social media just recently.
Well, I mean, yes. I mean, if I don't know if you watch, did y'all get TV1 out there?
No. Well,
Y'all
TV
get TV1? Okay, so that's the reason why, because they just TV1, one of the leading factors in Black music programming in terms of the culture and preservation of us Black artists and the history. And Unsung is one of the greatest series. It's been around for almost 12 years now, if not more. I could be wrong, but Unsung highlights all of the artists who had incredible success at one point, and then you try to wonder why you never heard from them again or why things happened, and you find out about the industry. I always tell people, if you don't want to hear me talk all day, or if you want to just read a document or see a documentary, the best way to learn about the music industry is to watch programs like Unsung. So in a lot of ways, Solar Records, like Motown, like Philly International, you know, like MCA Records, Solar Records was the leading record label from 77 all the way to about 85, 86. And Leon Silvers of the legendary Silvers family, because remember them from Boogie Fever and all those records. Leon Silvers was already a genius before he turned 21. So now here he is, get hired to a record label to create all of these amazing disco, funk, contemporary R&B records like Shalimar's Second Time Around, A Night to Remember, and The Beat Goes On. That's all Leon Silvers. So not the fact that he's just my mentor, but this is the man that changed the sound of R&B music that's still prevalent to this day. You go anywhere in the world, when they play old school music, I guarantee you're going to hear at least 15 records that either Leon produced or from the Solar Music record label. Same way you would hear Ain't No Stopping Us Now from Philly International, or Before I Let Go by Frankie Beverly and Maze. You know, Shalimar and the Whispers and a few other acts from Solar Records has enough hit songs that when you play them, even if you wasn't born in that era, you know them because your parents probably listened to them, or if you love music the way we do, you did your history and your homework. You kind of know, like, oh, shoot. So hold up, the same guy that wrote that, I'm like, yeah, Leon Silvers, the genius. And if there was no Leon Silvers, there would be no Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, no L.A. Reid and Babyface, and no Teddy Riley. Why? Because all three of those guys who I just mentioned that changed the R&B course for our generation, that's our generation. But Leon Silvers is their master. He taught them a lot. Yeah, not just from a distance. I'm talking about personally. They all got their cues from him. He opened a lot of doors. That's why, again, if you look at every speech that Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis has done in the last 3 years when they get their awards, and just recently the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, they said we want to send a shout out to the one and only Leon Silvers. That's the guy that kind of helped brought us into the production game because we wanted to be just like him. You know, Leon led the charge. So he's the reason why those entities were able to change the course of the R&B records for our generation. So there wouldn't be no Boyz II Men or Jodeci.
Thank God for them.
So Leon, and then the fact that the number one factor being that you notice about him and Teddy Riley, because why? On the Face the Music album, Leon Silvers co-wrote and produced Girls and Never Let You Go. That has Leon's whole signature on it. And when you hear Donnie, like, we got to remember, the times that me and Donnie hang out, and Leon's niece was actually a backup singer for Charlie Wilson during this culture tour. So when I brought her to him, I said, I got somebody you need to meet that knows your uncle very well. Come over here. So I said, yo, Donnie, this is Cy Silvers. This is Leon's. And if you would have saw Donnie's face, Donnie bowed in her eyes saying, your uncle. That man, boy, he don't play no games. And I said, yeah, he sure don't. And I can attest to that because I work with him. So I know. He's like, that man will make, he made us get vocal parts right that we weren't even trying to, you know, because that's the part of his genius. And Cy was like, he's the same way with me. So, and they took a picture together and everything. So that goes to show you that Donnie still has that reverence for the people that worked on those albums. So to hear Donnie say that about Leon in front of his niece, See, these are stories that won't make Instagram all the time. These are personal stories I'm giving exclusively to you and people who watch, because people got to understand and know that's really who Donnie is, because Donnie don't forget nothing. Donnie was
He knows
like,
everything
yeah,
that's going on. He does. His eyes are
yeah,
open.
he said, that man, yeah, he said, Lord, the fact that you even been working with Leon like that for the last 5 or 6 years, I said, now you know how I feel, because you got to remember the fact that y'all guys used them for y'all record at a time when Leon wasn't necessarily the most sought after producer, because he kind of had it. Every producer has a heyday, as you know. Every producer has what we call a hot moment, where nothing, like Babyface at one point was hot for damn near 10 years. Everything he put out, everybody ran. Jam and Lewis, same thing. I mean, they still get production work, but see, everybody's not going to be hot forever. Longevity is where it counts.
Yes.
Everybody's going to have a peak in the valley, or up and a down. Remember, there was a point. Remember a couple of albums that Janet was working on before she got back with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis that wasn't so hot? Because Janet was already an icon. So it didn't matter if that record didn't sell 20 million records. If it had some good songs on it, but there was a period where there was a lot of fans that weren't really latching on to some of the other stuff that she was doing. But it didn't matter, because I guarantee when she said, well, I'm going on tour, sold out show.
Yep.
That's longevity.
Fan base is there.
No, that's longevity. So it wouldn't matter. I mean, the 10 album could have sold probably 100,000 copies. It didn't matter. When new kids announce that there's a tour, them seats gonna get filled.
Yep.
Longevity. They don't have to be the hottest thing on the market anymore. They have longevity, and let's hope that 90% of these whack ass R&B and hip hop pop acts that are out now, let's hope that they have any 1/3 of what our heroes have.
Ah, said so right, so perfectly. We can
try.
only hope for the future. No, I guess
Wow.
talking about the cruise, because I
Yes.
forgot we were supposed to do that.
Yes, but you know, it only feels like since the last 2 weeks since we've seen each other.
I know. It's been 2 weeks since we've seen each other. Your first day on the boat, the sail away party happens and everything. What happened for you that day? Very first day. What were you up to?
Like I tell everybody else that's been asking me, I was just taking it all in for a lot of different reasons. The personal reason being that, of course, it was my birthday weekend, and you know, usually when I do stuff for my birthday, besides my kids hitting me up if they're, they could be in any part of the world at that point. They're all grown now, and I got my grandkids and stuff. So besides just the normal stuff that I do, because it's usually birthdays for me are a reflection. So for me, I just want to be in a different environment. And the fact that the fans have been asking me for the last 10 years, oh, when you gonna come on the boat? When you gonna come on the boat? I said, y'all do realize I have a career. I have a career of my own. I had shows. I couldn't just drop my shows and come on the boat. Trust me, if I could, I would. Mm-hmm. But the thing was is that, and then Donnie would say to me, he would text me every now and then and be like, baby, bro, at some point, man, we gotta get you on this boat. I said, it's gonna happen. You know it's gonna happen. And look how God works. I was finally able to make it happen. So getting on the boat was just like, I can't believe I'm here. Mm-hmm. Then the 2 nights before, the 2 nights in Miami, I'm running into a lot of my hardcore fans. I'm running into people who really been celebrating me and buying my albums, and some that were able to come to the shows and just saying that they love the way I talk and I speak and the whole bit. So I was just really reveling in that moment. So the first day, it was 20 times that, because now that we're getting on the boat, I'm really running into everybody now. It's like, oh, she like, ah. And then the Lido deck, meeting is popping, so everything else is going on. And if I'm not mistaken, I think, and I could be wrong, I think that first night, that was the night that I hosted the unofficial after party, where I became the unofficial host. Am I mistaken?
Yeah, you were hyping the crowd. And I got in there, because I see you and Donnie on stage just doing the thing, and there was a few other people up there dancing and stuff, and I'm like, oh, look at Law.
I mean, and I say this, look, me and Donnie and the rest of the blockheads who were in attendance, we partied till 7 in the morning. And you know that because you were there. Yeah. And the thing is just that it was totally impromptu, because I'm going to say it once again for people who probably had a preconceived notion of what was going to happen. Now, when I went live the night before the cruise, because I went to the second karaoke thing, Donnie came in my live on the chat and said, keep those vocal warms, keep those vocals warm, baby bro. I'm like, okay. So I know what that meant. I said, I don't know what he listen. Unless me and him sit down and we have our talks like we normally do, I don't even know what my big brother's gonna plan for me. That's how much I love him, because I'm unpredictable, but he's that times 20. So my thing is like, I'm just staying ready. You know my motto, stay ready so you never have to get ready. So when I came into the after party, I'm like, the DJ is killing, the club is jumping. I see people I know like, I'm having fun. I'm there to have fun. I'm not looking for a microphone or a stage. I'm just there to have fun. So of course, lo and behold, Donnie sees me, he shouts me out. So I'm just thank you for the announcement, appreciate it. So I'm partying with you, and I'm over here. So then No Diggity comes on, and Donnie does what he always does, points to me,
come this way,
and gave me the microphone, and I started singing No Diggity, and the crowd went nuts. Now keep in mind, I'm enjoying myself, but I'm also keeping in mind, I'm like, he can probably just give me that microphone and do the song. Let me give him the microphone back. And when I tried to give it back to him, he said,
nope.
Continue. I'm like, okay. So now I figured I'd do another 10, 15 minutes. I'm like, okay, he's liking the way I'm flowing. I'm hyping the crowd. The DJ is getting my Brooklyn vibe. So now I'm no longer with y'all mentally or emotionally. You know where I'm at? I'm at the Lab in Brooklyn. Y'all know about that. That's an old hole in the wall club that we used to go to in the hood called the Lab. I'm in the Lab right now with my boy, with my brothers. Me and my brothers still party together whenever we get a chance to. So my thing is that I'm there now. I'm in the club. The crowd is hyped. That's when I saw you. I shouted you out. I was like, so my thing is that I'm good. So about 15 minutes done passed. I'm thinking, okay, they probably had enough of me already. I'm good. So I try to give Donnie the mic back again, and he's like, no, continue. So at that point, I'm like, okay, big bro, you do realize that I don't know when this party's ending, but I guess I'm the unofficial host for this after party, because again, I had no plans, but then the people were loving what I was doing. And of course, I felt the brunt of that, because remember, you were there when he made the golden announcement about 2023 or 24, Law and Donnie after party. So I think that's going to become a thing probably for the next couple of cruises.
That sounds amazing.
He said that. I didn't put no battery in his back and put a script in him. Y'all know Donnie does shit when he wants to do it. So I was not expecting that. I was happy just partying, but he made me an unofficial host, which was pretty much the setup for the next few nights that would happen. I know we're going to get into that in a minute, but just more so after that first night, I mean, come on, 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm stumbling in, and I don't even drink, but I'm just overloaded with party. It's like, yeah, it was so good. Yeah, that. Then I went to sleep for like damn near a whole day, then went to the beach, and then that's when I knew that it was real. Because when I woke up just in time to go to the beach, because I didn't even know where they were going. I'm like, where's everybody going? I'm like, oh, we're going to the beach. You know what? I'm going to go right with y'all. And I went right with them on that line and went to the damn beach, and people were running up to me. People I didn't even know. Some people I didn't even know. They were like, you're the guy from the after party last night. And then one of our good friends, Katrina from Kick Up Your Heels Entertainment. I know you know who
Katrina,
she is.
we love her. Yes.
Yes, love Katrina. Katrina told me that there was a guy at the club that was halfway asleep. I think he was sitting next to them or some shit like that. And basically they said that when you got on the mic and started hyping the crowd, he was up. Like he literally was like, and he's like, yo, this guy's good. Like, I like his energy. And then there were other people that were telling me that they have been on the cruise previous time. They've been on all the cruises to now. And this is what they said. I'm not saying this from me. I'm saying this. They said that was the best after party that he's ever done. So there you have it.
I feel blessed that I was able to be there for that, because I just remember getting in the room and the energy was so fantastic. The vibe was so positive. And I turn over to one side and it's like, there's Hide dancing next to me. Hide from Japan. The guy's a legend.
Oh yeah, I love him so much. That's my
I love this
man.
guy, and I'd never even met him, but I looked at him and he looked at me and we smiled and we're dancing. And then I'm looking up at you guys on stage and I'm like, this is incredible. This is incredible.
Positive vibes only. That's what people don't get. Positive vibes. I'm from the era and from the environment no matter how crazy things got in the hood, a lot of us used to go to the city to party. We didn't want to be in the hood all day to go to these hole-in-the-wall clubs unless we wanted to. But that was always the vibe. So when you hear about the notorious, there was a shootout at the club, I said, that's because they let ignorant people in. When you let stupid people in, stupid things happen. But most parties that me and my brothers went to back in the day, even to this day now, we feel the vibe out. If the vibe is incorrect, we won't stay. I'm like, I'm not liking the vibe in this place. It's time for, I don't think we should be here. And usually,
everything about that felt great.
Say what?
A lot of times, everything about that place felt great that night, because I know, like, now being in my 40s, I don't really like going to nightclubs anymore. I feel disconnected with the crowd, and you run into situations like you just said. But this felt like it should feel.
Yes,
like
it felt just
amazing.
It felt good. It felt. That's why I said I pretend like I was back at the club, and I even told my brothers that night. I texted them all. I said, "Man, the only thing missing is y'all motherfuckers, because y'all know if y'all would have came with me on this shit, it would have been up." Because a lot of the music that I make is from that era, or at least that atmosphere where you just want to go to a party to hear a good song. And if you're a guy and you're lucky, you might meet somebody you like. You might get a chance to talk to them and find out what their interests are, or as Biggie said, who you be with, like that kind of shit. Because that song was real, because when Big Papa, he was basically giving you insights to how most of us Brooklyn dudes be at clubs if nothing crazy is going to happen. So I really feel like that atmosphere that night, and even all the other nights, that the party atmosphere was so positive and so real. You couldn't ignore it. You really couldn't ignore it. It really set the tone for what the next 3 days for me was going to be like. And I really felt, I haven't partied like that in a long time either. So
right before I went to bed that night too, I was like, okay, I'm going to go over it. You're up on stage next to Donnie. Donnie's dancing. I walked up to Donnie and I said, I'm Naomi from Dope Nostalgia. And he goes, yes, I know. I've listened to your show. And he was so sweet about it. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. And then I remember you pointing at me going, yeah. And you guys made my day. It was awesome.
And I just looked at you. Remember the conversation we had? I just looked at you and be like, didn't I tell you? Because I know, look, a lot of people, I mean, there's still fans that haven't made that type of personal connection. But, what makes Donnie, and even the rest of the fellas, but in particular Donnie, a superhero is because with all the busy stuff that we all got going, he's on Blue Bloods damn near every day. I mean, there were times where as much as me and him hang out, I already know, like I was in Hawaii with them, as you know, and we was able to speak for a few, and I think it was one other day that we got a chance to build each other. On the third show, he warned me early. He was just like, yo, I'm just gonna let you know if I don't see you, I have to jump on the plane and head right back to the set after the last show is over. That's how serious the shit is with him in terms of making moves. But I know what that feels like. Look at what happened. I was in this house for the last 2 days, organizing, getting myself together, and I get a call. Hey, Law, they want to book you for a show in West Palm Beach for this Thursday. Can you do it? See what I mean? This is the life that we live. When you're an artist and a performer and a musician, you have to be ready at all times. You have to be ready to get up and go. That's why I'm glad I have a bald head, because see, if I didn't have a bald head, I had to have somebody do my hair or do some other crazy like
you're so ready to get up and go.
I'm just ready to get up and look, I cut my own hair now, especially after the pandemic, because nobody was going to barbers during the pandemic. So I literally learned how to shave my own head. So I'm just, it makes it easy for me for the life that I live. I just want to be ready to go and be ready to do certain things. So I mean, but Donnie knows more than what people fail to realize. Donnie is very, very much in tune with everything and everybody around him. And he's a Leo like my twin daughters. So that's another reason why I know, because my daughters are the same way.
Lovable Leo.
Lovable Leo. That's what he is.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
We're going to dance and have some fun.
Hey friends, you know what I really love doing is podcasting. It's so much fun, and I've been so lucky because I've talked to amazing people so far doing this show. And I'm trying to bring you guys the very best content I can. Now, in doing that, it does get kind of expensive, and I'm on a little bit of a budget to do so. But there's a way you guys can help out, and it's called Patreon. If you visit our Patreon page, you can subscribe to our podcast and get all kinds of ultimate perks just for subscribers. There's different tiered levels, so you can join for only $1 a month if you like. What's in it for you? Bonus content. We'll give you a shout out on the show. We're going to be recording all kinds of super secret stuff just for our Patreon subscribers. And in doing that and subscribing, you're going to help us pay the bills. Help me pay my phone bill when I'm calling people far away for an interview. Help us pay for our licensing fees so we can play you awesome music clips and so much more to help keep this boat afloat. Join our Patreon at patreon.com/dope nostalgia.
Hi, we're the new kids on the block. Now you can hang tough with us 24 hours a day on our brand new hotline. Just pick up your phone and call us on 1-900-9095-KIDS.
You hear our most secret day-to-day thoughts, but check this out. We'll tell you all about our brand new talking fan club hotline.
Word.
It'll blow your mind, so call us right now.
Plus, a portion of each call helps to support United Cerebral Palsy.
So remember,
We'll be loving you forever.
See ya.
$2 for the first minute, 45 cents for each additional minute. Kids, get your parents' permission first.
The next day, like you said, a beach day, and when you got to the beach, that was one of the days where I really got to take in how Donnie Wahlberg puts everything out there for us. He puts his whole total self out there for us. He gets up early and starts doing his thing. They do the Olympics. He probably took at least 300 selfies on the beach that day, at least, and then goes and does a concert.
Yeah.
2-hour concert. Then goes on the Lido deck for hours and hours, and another after party till 6 a.m., 7 a.m.
Yeah.
Like the guy is amazing.
Our bodies are conditioned, and I speak that way of me, Donnie, Danny, and even Jordan, and even Joey. John is built for it too, but you know what I love about John is that John likes to do the mystique thing. He earns that so well. I tell him all the time, every time we chat with each other, I'm just like, he'll poke his head in for a minute, be there, and then he'll go for a while, but then somehow or another, I don't know if it's the song or it's the energy, next thing you know, John is back for more. Like, okay, he's back.
John had my heart. He was so entertaining. And like when the fireworks were going off, the look on John's face, like the pure joy of just him watching fireworks.
Well, because it's the simple things. I think with all the things that us artists and entertainers have to do, we enjoy. Like this past Sunday, I spent the whole day with my grandbabies. You know, the simple things. So even in those little moments of enjoying fireworks, or when I go to certain places and they put us in these great hotels, and a lot of times there'll be like a pond nearby or some type of access of water, like a lake or something like that. I'll just go sit there for a good hour and some change, just take everything in, because I know that once I get my ass up and have to go back to the hotel to get ready to do the Planet 12 Law thing, I'm in that moment. So looking at John admire fireworks, you know, for him, it's the simple things when they were growing up in Boston. That's what connects me with them, because it's like that for us in Brooklyn. Some of the same places that me and my brothers used to go are still around. So every now and then it'd be like, we're going to have dinner. He said, I know where you want to go. Let's go to Best Style Fish Fry. That was the spot we went to as kids. It's still there. So we'll go for a meeting. Now, we grown ass men with kids now, but it just reminds me of that type of innocence. And I think that, you know, new kids as a whole, even New Edition, what they do is they remind us without reminding us. They just be in themselves in that moment of showing you that these are the times and the situations that bring us together. That's why that song "Bring Back the Time" is so pivotal, because, you know, it's not the only kind of song they made like that. Because "Still Sounds Good to Me" is the same theme. It's the same thing. So it's like the theme of it all is we spend so much time enjoying life that we forget on every level that the simple things still matter, no matter how chaotic that life gets. You know.
Said very well. Very well. That night too was the first night that you went up on stage on the Lido deck party.
Yes.
The second night, Donnie calls you up. I'm there. I was like ready with my camera. I get this video of you. You were doing some Michael Jackson and completely slaying it.
Oh,
everybody loved it.
Oh, thank you. Oh, you ready to hear the story behind that? There's a crazy story behind it. So here's the plan. This is what people don't know, and it'll probably be the last time I tell this part of the story. But of course, great day. Spent time at the beach. People are still asking me. He's like, well, you think that? I said, listen, if my big brothers hand me any of my big brothers hand me the microphone, I will be ready. But again, I'm here to enjoy the festivities. My birthday weekend, I'm on a cruise with a bunch of fans, and I got my big brothers here with me and the staff. Earl, Sean, those my boys, and I'm like, I'm happy. Look, free food. I mean, what? How can you lose? It's like for me,
that was a good buffet.
I'm just enjoying that buffet was crack. Look, I went to the gym. I went to the gym 4 nights in a row when I came back. I wasn't playing. I had to. So anyway, so there was an initial plan with some of my fans who I've known for a long time. They wanted to go as the Robert Palmer girls. I did the To Love video, and one of them asked me to be Robert Palmer. So I agreed to it. I'm like, yeah, definitely, let's do it. So I made sure that I packed my white shirt and my black tie and my slacks. Let's keep it real. When you go on a cruise, you're not bringing no suit. You're bringing shorts. You're bringing sweats. You bringing, if you like your toes out, you bringing your sliders and your sandals and whatnot. You bringing your t-shirts. So I was ready and amped. But because of badass spotty Wi-Fi, I couldn't keep connection with some of the girls. It was hard to oh, yeah, I got that. And then, of course, the Lido deck was even more crowded on the second night than the first night. Because remember, everybody didn't come on the first. It seemed that way, but everybody didn't come on the Lido deck the first night. It was still packed, but it wasn't as big as it was the second and third night. So I figured in my mind,
what were they doing?
it was crazy. So then, and then mind you, so combine that big ass crowd with the fact that the Wi-Fi was spotty. So I'm only getting messages like, we're on the right side of the thing. And keep in mind, I'm looking, I'm like, I don't see anybody. Because somebody waved their hands so I can know if it's y'all. I didn't, and then of course the messages weren't getting through. And I was just trying to be in a secure spot because what I didn't want to keep doing was trying to walk around and make my way through in case I didn't see anybody. And I really didn't. So yeah, I ended up just standing there because I figured, okay, more than likely, if nothing else, I'm going to see the girls after this shit is over because we all got to go the same way anyway. So I'm just like, let me just stay put, just enjoy the show. Again, enjoy the show. Not try to get up on stage or hope that Donnie recognizes me. No, I literally was planting. By that point, it's like, man, this is getting more crowded by the second. I'm getting agitated. You know what? Hopefully I'll see one of the girls. Hopefully I'll be able to spot somebody run into me. And right in that moment when there was all these possibilities, Billie Jean comes on. So I'm like everybody else, I'm excited. I'm like, oh shit, they playing Billie Jean. And next thing you know, Donnie just blurts out, where's Lloyd? Where's my little brother? And people began screaming. And of course, I'm like, wow. Now keep in mind, for those that don't know, I think I told you this in the last interview that we did together. Michael is extra special to me because outside of church, that's how my career started as a singer. Because I used to perform at my mother's Parks Department shows in New York City, imitating Michael and singing for real, like singing and doing the set. I had the beat it jacket, the thriller jacket, the whole thing. I was the Michael Jackson of St. Mark's, pretty much in Brooklyn. I was pretty much that guy. Before Prince and Stevie and all those different influences came into my life, it was all things Michael. Michael was my ultimate hero, like any other young black kid. So in any event, I'm coming to the stage, people are yelling, they're like, oh, you gotta get my boy. So, because remember, everybody was waiting and asking. They was like, and as you saw, as soon as I got up, gave me the microphone, and the spirit of MJ took over, and the crowd obviously loved what they saw. Now, keep in mind, if you remember, it was drizzling. It was kind of raining.
Yeah.
And the stage was already wet. So what you don't probably know, the metamorphosis mentally when it comes to performing for an artist like myself who dances aggressively. The first test I did was the spin. That's funny because everybody started screaming and yelling when I did the spin and the kick of my leg. But they don't realize that I was testing that spin because I usually do full spin. I could do a whole full spin like Michael. You probably seen that in my rehearsal videos. I could do full spins in the whole bit. But I said, okay, Law, if you're going to do a full spin, you're taking a risk because the walkway of the stage is very narrow. See, if I had the backstage, if I had that stage where everybody was kind of like hanging out at, if I would have had that, I would have went for broke. But I'm on a narrow-ass walkway. It's raining. Nobody came and cleaned off the stage, really.
Yeah.
So I had to be mindful. So if you notice, I kept those spins at a minimum, but the crowd was still, I'm like, wow, y'all haven't even seen the full shit of what I normally do with this thing, when I do Michael, and then as you know, I did the moonwalk too. I moonwalked back to where they were, and it went crazy. But thank God that the stage stopped right there, because again, if you go too hard, that magical moment that everybody's talking about my performance, it would have been an embarrassing moment. And I wasn't about to have that shit happen. So I kept it at a minimum to where people dug it. And then people were telling me, like, Lord, you couldn't see it. You was in the zone. But Joey and Danny, and they were going crazy. Like, they were looking at them like proud big brothers watching you do the thing. I said, yeah, because guess what? That's how they all started. The Jacksons were everything to any white, black, and Hispanic kid that wanted to sing and perform in the 80s. The Jacksons and / Michael Jackson's solo career, that was the template right before New Edition came into the mix. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's why a lot of people didn't know what happened behind the scenes with that, but that was really what was going on. I'm thinking in my mind, I'm like, okay, Lord, this is your moment, but be very careful. Don't get too crazy with it, because if you get too crazy with it, you come out and make a mistake. And your moment, people won't be, they're not gonna remember what you did. They're gonna remember how he bust his ass. I'm not stupid. Cameras were out. I knew. Once I was in that moment, I'm like, okay, Lord, keep it clean. And I did. So the fact that I kept it clean, and people just like, one person thought, it's like, yo, I really thought, I just did my research. I thought you was like a MJ impersonator. He's like, no. And they didn't know. So a lot of people were able to learn. And of course, he asked me to kind of host again, because I'm thinking I'm good with my little 10, 15 minutes. I'm having fun. And then I think Kid and Play or some other hip hop records came on, and Donnie gave me the mic. He was like, nah, go up and so it was basically the after party all over again, but this time it was on the Lido day.
Yeah. Didn't you guys do that kick move too?
Yes, we did. Totally not rehearsed.
Yeah, you did. I remember that. That was fantastic.
But people thought, like, damn, y'all just now. I said, that's my big brother, man. I'm like, you gotta remember, if we would have known each other back then in their heyday and me coming up in the game, you already know it would have been me and those guys, it would have been a 20-year friendship at that point. You know what I mean? So the relation of the stuff that we grew up on and hip hop culture, which is all me, Danny, Jordan, and Donnie live for, because we're all certified breakdancers. So all things Run DMC, Houdini, Biggie, Wu-Tang, we could talk about things like that because of our immense love for hip hop culture and the fact that we're involved in the fabric of that. Them as new kids, and then even just with me as Law and the people who I worked with. And I tell people all the time, I say, you gotta remember, Donnie met me as an artist first. But come to find out, when I first met him, he knew all about me already. Typical Donnie. He's like, he said, I've read your tweets, young man. You truly know your new kid's history. Like, you really, the fact that he said, your mother won first place. I said, yeah, my mother won first place that night, because the taping was still going on during that period. People don't know how the taping works. They just think like, oh, this was done that day. I'm like, no, it's different segments, how you film stuff. So that was a magical night. Just when I thought the after party thing couldn't have got any crazier, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I was definitely feeling myself that night, and more importantly, I was feeling the love.
Yes.
The fact that, my big brothers thought enough about me to give me the microphone to come out and do my thing. I mean, like I said, Donnie could have called anybody to sing Billie Jean or to do that, but he thought about me. So I can't. And then we partied some more after that. We went to the next after party, which was crazy. 7 in the morning, 7 in the morning again. Yeah.
I missed my excursion the next day because I needed sleep. I didn't go back for beach day number 2. I've learned a lesson here. Don't book excursions on New Kids cruises. Save that for other types of vacations.
Well, because see, on vacation, you're vacationing. So certain things that you're not going to be able to do, you don't do them. Like if I know I'm on vacation,
this is a party.
This is a party. Going. This is a party. But I already knew it without even really knowing. So for me, it was like, well, shit. Damn, motherfucker, you still party like that? Let's see. My feet, I don't have any feet issues. I don't have any leg issues.
Then you know what you're capable of too, because I'm like, holy shit, look at all I've done with hardly any sleep for 4 days. This is insane. I love it. Fourth day. 4th day, GPS night, is your birthday night. And that was so dope too. That was like amazing. The
Leave it
champagne
up to my
shower.
brothers to make me cry. Yes. leave it up to my brothers to make me cry. I fought back a
It
lot
was
of tears.
beautiful.
It was emotional, and I'm not afraid to say it. I just talked about it about 8 different times since then. But just when I thought that nothing could top my 5 hours of hanging out with Stevie in May, Stevie Wonder. Remember I told you about that.
Yeah.
Just when I thought nothing could top that, here comes my Dorchester big brothers in celebrating me. Not only bringing me up on stage to perform, and this time Joey brought me up because I think Donnie had to go run and change real quick and do something.
That's right.
And,
Joey did bring you up.
Yeah,
That's
Joey
cool.
brought me up. And it's crazy because, after that, DJ Cool Whip, I think he was trying to announce my birthday, and Donnie was like, no, we gonna do this. Because I think Donnie wants to make it a personal mission to celebrate me. And, and not to say that I haven't celebrated in that magnitude before, but this was different because, first of all, you can't lose when you have over 3,000 fans showing you love, and then the majority of those fans that have been rocking with you from day one, so they got to know you way before me and Donnie ever made a pact to work on stuff together, or even just becoming friends like we've had. It's still the energy I felt from the people that really concerned it. So going back to how that moment could have almost gotten ruined because I had to deal with a Karen who was right behind you, if you remember.
There was?
You remember you were in front of me? Yeah. That
I
story I told earlier?
I saw you post today. There was a Karen issue,
Yes,
but I
you
didn't
were
know
right.
who it was.
You don't remember when I tapped you on your shoulder to let you know I was behind you because I saw you?
Oh, yes. Okay, I remember that. I thought
the 2 girls that were
trying to get
next
through.
to me and the other girl. Now, mind you saw from that distance. I wasn't in front of these girls, but for some strange reason, this Karen with a trucker hat from Maine thought that I was in front of her. But I got some new information I just got recently. My boy Cedric, who who's his son's my nephew, Cedric, he told me that before me and my nephew got to the Lido deck, that the same girl, she already had an attitude with everybody. So see, that's how I know it wasn't me. But even in point, she had the wrong one that day. Because see, the thing with me was that this is before I knew that you was in front of me. Because the disrespect level came because y'all, you know me, when I walk through the crowd, now it's the 4th and last night. We don't walk through this crowd about 4 times already in the last 4 days. I'm like, everybody knows the rule. You maneuver, you say, excuse me. If you're trying to get somewhere, of course, we're polite. I'm running people like, hey, what's going on? You want to get up? I say, I might get up on stage tonight. What happens? So I'm there. Yeah. So now, mind you, when I find a place that I'm locked into, I turn around. I make sure that I'm not in front of anybody. I'm 5'10", which is average height. So I'm always conscious of if I'm standing in front of somebody or if I'm standing too close up on somebody. Because mind you, the Lido deck was packed. It was packed.
Yeah.
So my thing is that I'm always considerate, no matter where I'm at. I don't never use my status as who I am, and the fact that people, if you notice, and people that see me at the New Kids or New District shows, they'll tell you, they'll be like, yo, if Law's not backstage, Law be in the audience with us partying. Like he'd be literally in the section where I'm not getting in front of nobody. I'm not going to sit there and be like, because those are my friends and I'm Law and I'm backstage, fuck all you. I don't have that mentality. I'm with the people too. Now, if I want to be backstage, I can be, obviously. But the thing is that I'm chilling because I already know that, after Donnie and Danny made it clear, said, well, tonight's your birthday night, so we're going to need you again. So be prepared for us to call you up on Danny. Danny already told me. So I'm like, okay. So I said, okay, well, let me get in the spot that I'm usually in, because this way, if they happen to see me or whatever, now it's official now. Before it wasn't make sure Donnie see, but now I had to, because if they're gonna bring me up on stage again, I have to be somewhere where they can see me. I can't be all the way in the back in the other areas. I have to be where they can see me. So I get into my section. I'm looking behind me. I'm like, okay, I'm not in front of her. I'm not in front of them, so I'm good. I get a nudge on my arm. Hey, you. So my first instinct, because you don't nudge a black man at a concert. Because where I'm from, that's you're asking to get your ass whipped. Unless I know you, I turn around And I'm just like, no, first I'm just like, I said, what's the problem? He just got in front of us. I'm like, I didn't get in front of you. You're over. I'm talking to you diagonally. So how am I in front of you? If I'm like this, how am I talking in front of you? And then her friend was like, you heard what Joey said? Make the right choice. I said, no, this trick did not try to use a Joey colloquialism in front of me. I'm heated by this. I'm seething at this point. So then the other girl who was on the the left side of me that had nothing to do with the other two girls, they're not together. It's those two girls and this girl. So the other Karen, the one I was talking to, I called her Karen. That Karen tries to combo with the other girl and say, was he just in front of you? Wasn't he in front of you? And you can look in her face and tell she really didn't want to answer. But of course, when white Karens side with each other, it's called the Karen combo. Because she knew I was nowhere in front of her. So she's like, yeah, well, you kind of were in front. I said, I see what this is about now. And then I said, well, here's the thing. Before we got into an argument, because I'm just like, yo, first of all, you shouldn't have touched me. So she apologized for that, but I wasn't really hearing it. So then I looked, I said, well, anyway, in case you must know, the only reason why I'm even standing over here is because I'm very well maybe performing tonight. And her and her friend was like, get the fuck out of here. You ain't performing. If I'm performing, I guess everybody has to perform. I'm performing, you performing. So she was being sarcastic. If you were performing, then you would be up there with the rest of them. I said, no, I don't have to be, because first of all, I'm not going to block the people that spent their hard-earned money to enjoy a show if they were already here first, because that's disrespectful. So I'm somewhere where I can be seen, where I'm not blocking anybody. But you said that I'm blocking you. No, you just want to start trouble. And I didn't say nothing else after that. I said, you know what? I caught myself. You know what? You have a blessed evening. It's my birthday. I'm here to celebrate myself. I got my brothers here with me. I got fans that love me. I'm not even trying. So I stepped back. Now, here's where it gets funny. Donnie gets on top of the bar, if you remember, during Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
So we all turn like this. So guess where Lawrence is now? I'm in front of you, stupid. It wouldn't matter. I'm in front of you. So that I looked at her like she was stupid. I'm like, I bet you feel real stupid, don't you? And to make matters worse, Donnie, I didn't even think Donnie saw me, got on, I think it was Earl's back or Sean's back. And he was like, happy birthday, Law. I didn't say nothing. I just kind of kept it there. And no matter within the next 10 minutes, right before I tapped you on your shoulder, because I saw you, I was like, oh shit, they know me. Hey. So what happened? Billie Jean comes on again. Now keep in mind, I did not think that they were going to call me for Billie Jean. I thought they might have probably called me for Poison, because they know how much I know the New Edition steps and all that stuff. Yeah. So I'm thinking they might call me for something else. They might call me for something totally abstract to put me to the test. I don't know. But of course, Joey was like, where is he? Come on, yeah, encore. Encore. Nobody did that better. Nobody could do that better than you. You come. And if you would have saw the look on those chicks' faces.
There you go,
boy. In Brooklyn, we have a thing called the butthurt look. They was looking so butthurt. And mind you, especially when the birthday thing happened and Donnie gave the most amazing speech about his little Brooklyn brother. You know, y'all heard what he said. And again, I didn't write this for him. Nobody loves music. They're more passionate about music or the new kids like my little brother. And when they were singing happy birthday, now mind you, I'm looking around with people I saw, I saw you, of course, I saw everybody, the people who I could see, like there was people I couldn't really see. Because remember, it's like, it's wildness, it's pandemonium. I'm like, but I caught them though. And you would have saw their face. They had the ass look. They couldn't even sing happy birthday. And then on top of all that shit, after that was over, before Donnie did the whole champagne thing and 50 Cent in the club came on, you could tell you could tell that these trucker girls didn't know nothing about hip hop, because everybody's having a ball and they just stand there like this. Looking ass out. And then to make matters even crazier, remember when we saw each other after the thing was over, when we pulled into Miami?
Yeah.
When we pulled into Miami, you didn't. And mind you, I could have been petty. You know that. I could have been real petty. They passed by us while we were talking.
Oh, really?
My right hand to God and my kids. I think God did that on purpose, because what were the chances of 3,000 people after the show was over? when we were talking, when I was talking with you, Chair Chatter, and Rat Tail, and all of the cats from Rat Tail and everybody, we were having that conversation after everybody kind of cleared out. They were walking and they were looking over in my direction while they were walking. And I just kept looking at them like, that's what the moral of the story is. Treat everyone you know with love and respect, even if your day is not going so good.
Yeah.
I was married for 13 years. Me and my ex-wife are still very close. You want to know why? Because if she was here, she would even tell you. And I said, you can tell in the world. Did I ever have a grumpy spot if I had a bad day? She's like, no, you always just give me a hug. And you know, if something wasn't going down that night, you literally was, or you never took your anger out of anything that you were going through on me or the kids. Because I don't live for anger. You know what I'm saying? I didn't grow up in that kind of environment, even though the hood was tough to grow up in. But the thing is just that treat everybody with love and respect, because you don't know who knows who. Now, if I was a real petty, because I could be petty, but if I really wanted to be petty, I could have just kept it quiet and went right to Sean and be like, can you escort this lady? She put her hands on me.
No doubt.
Now, question, not because I'm using it as an influence, because I'm being real, because that's what I'm not going to put my hands on no woman. Never. No. I got daughters. No. I would never put my hands on any woman. Now, I will curse you out if you disrespect me, but I'm not going to put my hands on you. So the crazy part is that
if I had realized all of this was occurring behind me, I should have just been like, all right, come on up here with us.
You know why? Because here's the thing. She would have felt even more. That's before I knew that you was in front of me. I didn't know you was in front of me yet. And so like after we turned around and I saw because I know your face. I'm like, oh, that is her. I'm like, yeah, that's her. So the thing was just that, no, trust me, I would have literally did that. But you know what? God has a way of doing things that none of us can understand and shouldn't want to, because he's God for a reason. Because all I could think about was, now, God forbid if I spaz out on this chick and just cursed her out and did the whole Brooklyn thing, like, because I could have easily did that. And God forbid, thank God that none of my sisters came with me. Thank God none of my daughters came with me. My oldest daughter and my youngest, they don't play about their father. So for me, it would have been like, so I'm just saying more so God had his way. That's why I said, you know what, you have a blessed evening. Because, I see where this is going. I'm not going to spoil my night. I'm not going to mess it up for the fans. And I damn sure ain't going to mess it up for my big brothers. No way in hell. You're not going to do that with them.
And that was making the right choice, not what she said.
Exactly. Because they try to use that whole Joey thing to prove a point. I'm like, that's not what he meant. And the thing is just that, but you want to look important and try to champion the guys who you fans of. I'm like, yeah, there's a difference, because I'm actually close to those guys. Y'all guys are just here to enjoy the festivities, like I am too. But the thing is just that it's a difference. I could have used all of that to my advantage and my influence. And mind you, I wasn't lying. I wasn't setting her up for anything, because guess what? When you put your hands on somebody, what's the first thing you're supposed to do anyway? Security. That's the first thing. That's not snitching. That's the right thing to do, because if I take matters in my own hands, I'm going to mess it up. And all the security for NKOTB, those are my peeps. I've known Sean for over 15 years. I'm talking about before he did security for New Kids. That's how long I've known Sean. Those are my peoples. And me and Earl, of course, we became fast friends, obviously, because when we got to know each other the last 7-8 years. But I'm like, nope, this situation is not worth the attention. Kill them with kindness. Hurt their feelings and make them look stupid by simply doing what you came to do. And that's why I said the look on their face when I got up on that stage and the love that I got from the fans, that was all the revenge that I needed. I didn't have to do nothing else.
In the club, you dancing side by side with Jordan. You guys were like in sync with each other. I was I was loving it. Loving it.
My idol, you already know how I feel about Jordan, because as most of my fans know, as a solo artist and as a group member, Jordan was probably the most direct influence, even more than some of the other guys in the group, because in most group situations, I'm usually Jordan or Ralph, and very much Donnie, because Donnie's all encompassing. He can sing, rap, and can dance. And Jordan can rap too, but Jordan's not known for rapping per se.
No. Yes.
Except for on Funky Christmas. But the thing is just that everybody know the resident rappers in New Kids are Donnie and Danny. Those are the resident rappers in New Kids. The same way how in New Edition, the resident rappers are Bivens and Ronnie.
Yes.
They can sing a little bit, but they're not, their residential part is the rap part. So that moment for me on stage with Jordan was the moment I've been waiting for since I was 13, 12 years old, because mostly anything that he did, like Ralph, same thing with Ralph, anything that him or Ralph, any of the groups that I love, I always paid attention to who danced the hardest, who danced the most. So of course, when I found out years later that Jordan, besides Brooke Payne, was behind a lot of the choreography the new kids did, it made perfect sense, because in my unit, it was me and my best friend Errol. People be like, Law's moves be crazy. I'm like, well, you see the guy next to you. Who's the guy next to you with the dress? That's been my dancing choreography partner for the last over 30-something years. Like every group that we were in, when you saw the choreography was tight, you knew that it had everything to do with me and Errol. So that's, you know what I mean? We were always the extreme. So dancing with Jordan, for me, that was just a dream come true. And then even better than just dancing with him just giving me the ultimate cosign, like, dude, you know, I've been watching you for a while. Like, he really, you know, and I felt that. I mean, I felt that from all the guys, but from Jordan and Danny, it meant the most to me.
Yeah.
Because that circle of us being breakdancers, just the fact that it was my way of saying thank you. When Danny came to me first and gave me the biggest hug, he was like, dude, man, you know, you can, and I looked at him, I said, I learned from the best. And he kind of smirked his eyes. He said, nah. And I said, Danny, take this shit, because you know, I talk about y'all guys, well, I am nothing. Law, Planet 12, there would be none of that without the influence of you guys, New Edition, Stevie Wonder, Jimi Hendrix, James Brown, all the artists who influenced everything about me, whether it's the singing, the musicianship, the dancing, the rapping. It makes my world go round to know that my heroes love my artistry and love me as an artist. Like I said, Donnie first met me as an artist. So that's the biggest compliment that you could ever pay someone like me, especially from an indie level, because I've never signed to a major label. I'm an independent artist. Mm-hmm. So to get that kind of love from the guys who've been a part of the major system that we've all been a part of in some way, again, it's the best feeling in the world. You couldn't tell me nothing that night. And on my birthday too, I mean, come on.
How much more perfect could a birthday get? It was so
I
cool.
mean, I literally, I was stuck on cloud nine for like the next 4 or 5 days. Very scared to look at my phone, because I already knew that the influx of people who had even known me for 15 years, and then the new people who never heard anything about me and was inquiring. But what I wanted to do also too is shout out the fans, because some of the fans who've been rocking with Planet 12 for so long, there were people next to them was like, yo, who is that guy? And my fans were glad to tell them who I was. Mm-hmm. So for all of that being encompassing to being on a cruise that celebrates all of us coming together who love the new kids on the block, because again, as I told you earlier, if I never ever performed on stage that night, I still would have been good. It still would have been an epic night for me, an epic 4 days, because I'm vacation, I'm away from my normal surroundings, and I get to party with y'all. And then of course, you know, at some point, I mean, me and Donnie was already going to hang anyway, because we was doing that shit after the party, whatever. So my thing is that we were already going to link up with each other regardless at one point or another. So either way, that would have happened regardless. But the fact that I was able to hang and perform, not once, not twice, but 3 times, I mean, you know, again, shout out to God, but especially shout out to the fans, because they spoke this into existence. Because from 15, 13 years ago, they always wanted that for me anyway. It feels good when fans and people want things for you, because they've seen you not only work hard, but also because they realize, yo, he's not phony about this at all. Like, Law's for real with this. Like, yo, you saw Law's New Kids on the Block, like Jordan's mom. That's what I want. That's the story I want to tell. Jordan's Marlene, the legendary.
Yes.
Marlene, his legendary sister, Sharon. I knew Sharon for years. Mm-hmm. And then David, I met because you gotta remember, I feel like I know him, like everybody, I feel like I know them because I know the story, I know the history. I got to sit with the Knight family on my birthday for 15 minutes. They were waiting for some people to come out they were dealing with and what. Mm-hmm. And just to have the conversation. I mean, because Sharon already knew. Sharon was like, Lord, oh, so good to finally meet you. I remember you used to tag me, you know, your Jordan posts and stuff. I said, I hope I wasn't annoying. You said, no. I get it. I trust me. He said, as Jordan's big sister, you know, of course, I'm new. I said, yeah, but you know, he said, but it was definitely different coming from you, because we done seen your work. Like, they was like, yeah, man, I done seen you The church, I said, well, I mean, again, thank your brothers for that, because both Jordan and John, on a lot of different levels, became that influence. I said the reason why I connect with y'all so much because we all come from big families. So I know about food stamps and government. He was like government. I was like, when you talk that stuff, it was so familiar, because I had that same conversation with Paul, Donnie's brother, when we were in Fenway. And I always tell Paul, I love your intro to Wahlburgers when you always tell people we weren't middle class. We were poor. So tell them again. They don't get it. We weren't middle class. We had food stamps. My father was a working class man that had 2 jobs. It's the same thing with Jordan's family. We all came from humble hood beginnings. Dorchester, Roxbury, Common Square, Donna Summer's nieces, they're my best friends. They grew up around Jordan and all of them. So they can tell you the best stories in terms of that and what it was like. So we can relate to all these different things. People had this perception about that area. And then I'm from Crown Heights, Brooklyn. My mother's from Brownsville, where Mike Tyson's from. So everybody know anything about Brooklyn, it's the same sort of deal. So that moment sitting with the Knight family and just thanking them for allowing guys like me to study their brother. I'm like, look, your brother was the one I had to keep my eye on the most, because of most situations, because of my falsetto and because of the way I dance. I had to be, sometimes I was Joey and sometimes I was Jordan. I had to be Jordan. So my thing is that thank God for your brother and thank God for nurturing him the way that you do it. And then God bless Marlene, because she's the last mother standing. So I bowed in her presence. I'm like, man, may God bless you with more life and more abundance. Now you see why John and them love their mother so much, man. That's priceless. So I got emotional talk. I had to fight back tears talking to Marlene. It was really emotional for me.
Weren't they lovely? They're just such a nice family. Like,
they are. I can't. And David said, when you come to the outskirts, let me know. I'm like, dude, trust me, I'm going to hit you up when I come out that way. Come hang out. They're just a good fit. They remind me so much of my family, because we were always very inviting to people of any common ground. And everybody knows the stories about Jordan and John and their brothers and being around the environment where people couldn't understand, especially in a state and city that's very much known for high level racial tension. And here's these white kids that actually were in compass and have more common with black kids more than they have with some of their own friends. Like Donnie said in Behind the Music, what he said, what we had in common with the kids at Roxbury was guess what? We got holes in our shoes too, just like you. So it ain't just you now. We got holes too. Our mother's check didn't come in yet. So guess what? We got to wear these damn shoes until she get the money so we can go get some new shoes. So there's the common ground right there. See what I'm saying? What I told you before in the last interview. You don't know anybody until you sit down and kick it with them and learn their story and their journey about where they've been and where they're going. That's why I don't come out with that. I try to I get to know people in their walks of life, whether they're straight, gay, Jewish, Catholic, I don't give a shit. We all got a story to tell. Some of us have escaped poverty. Some of us escaped abuse. Some of us escaped being tormented by parental beliefs and political parties' agitations. You know what I'm saying? So if you sit down and kick it with somebody, that's why you saw me on the boat. It's like, there's Lord. I'm like, you know why? Because I'm getting to know these people up front who've been following me forever. And trust me, knowing my reputation, I'm pretty sure they were wondering, let's see what he's really like outside the social media stuff. And I get it, because on social media, I am who I am. You know that. I am who I am. And the thing is that to see people hit me up days after the cruise, and they were just like, man, he's the nicest person I ever met. He's so cool. Like, I was expecting, the whole, and I'm just like, well, I keep telling y'all, persona and personality are 2 different things, because what you see on social media is definitely a part of who I am. It is me. But the thing is that there's also more understanding, because I'm regular. I'm not caught up in the hype. Yes, I know who I am. Yes, I have a platinum resume. I worked with so-and-so. I've done all these amazing things in the music industry. But outside of that, I am still the same Brooklyn dude that loves his Chinese food, his pizza, and plays video games for 5 hours if I have nothing else to do in my career at that point.
So that was one of the interesting things for me too, even though we'd done a show together already and I knew about you and your social media and stuff. It was cool to actually see you in your elements and be like, I get it. He's kicking some ass. Like, now I really see what you do. And it was really awesome to just witness that with my own eyes,
Yeah, and that was only just a snippet. Like for the fans who have seen the video clips, including yourself, I was so glad that that one split of a performance is what people. I mean, people still talking about it now. It's been what, two weeks already, 2 weeks, 3 weeks,
Yeah.
and it just fills my heart with joy when I wake up every morning, and I still got people sending me clips on Twitter and Instagram, and people just saying how much. And then they couldn't be like, by the way, I just bought all 3 of your albums once. Man, I had no idea. Like, so
Nice.
you know, and then Donnie was in my live today. He snuck up in my live, like without me seeing him, and you know, and just in that paraphrase, because I heard that he told me. I mean, we spoke a little bit after the cruise, and he just told me that, you know, people were just coming to him about me, like they were literally talking to him, and it's like, yo, he's like, yeah, man. So that's the best feeling in the world, that I'm proud that people got to know me in person. That's more important to me, because anybody can put on a facade for the camera. Thank God I don't, but I'm just saying more. Anybody can still put up a facade on for the camera. But it was good that people really got a chance to learn who I am as a person, how I move. You know, they were making jokes. He's like, say, hey, wait, what you drink? Wait, I know what you want to drink. And they bought me a Pepsi. He's like, we know you love Pepsi. I'm like, yeah, I'm a Pepsi head. So
we know,
they
it's not
certain
talk.
things.
We know it's not talk. It's the real deal.
Yeah, I mean, they know, and that just made me feel, even with the party that Amanda, the great Amanda, threw for me, Amanda D, you know, our amazing first responder, you know, the party she threw for me along with Tuffy, shout out to Tuffy, you know, that alone, the labor of love that she and her team put into cutting up pictures with me and the new kids and me and Tuffy, and so my album, they even found my old mixtape. My mixtape's not even available no more. We're gonna change that for next year though. My first 2 mixtapes, they found the album covers for that. I'm like, oh, it almost made me cry. I was like,
that's nice.
What y'all know about that album? What y'all know about that mixtape? But that made me feel good. And then Raven, you know, her platform.
I love Raven.
Man, Raven is the truth. That woman done been to all my shows, and she blessed me with an amazing cake.
Aww,
you know,
she's so sweet.
She did a special mix of my songs for her radio program, and her daughter's a beast as a DJ too. Her daughter's incredible. Again, to sum it all up in that paraphrase, you know, again, just when I thought that hanging out with Stevie Wonder for 5 hours couldn't be topped, Donnie found a way to respectfully do it, and the fact that the fans were there to witness it and see it. And I ain't gonna lie, I felt the way in a good way, because I was just like, well, if people didn't know that I was for real, they know now. At least they know at this point. So now they can, because, you know, anybody can talk a good one, but I'm from the land of show and prove. So the fact that he gave me the microphone and I was ready, because again, I wasn't trying to be like, I'm gonna go up and say that. Yeah, I'm gonna go say that. It's just more so like, listen, if he calls me, great. If he forgets, that's cool too. And I'm not gonna blame him, because I really wasn't there to perform. I'm just there to enjoy the festivities for my birthday and be around the people. So the fact that I got to perform and do all that at the same time,
oh yeah,
this birthday's gonna be very hard to top. So next year, let's see what happens next year. But so far, this was the one. And in all my years, I'm not gonna give my age on here, but in all my years of doing this thing, this is definitely one of those major highlights on a lot of different levels. So yeah.
Before we wrap it up, I was just saying, when we touched on when we pulled into port there had been a lot of tears. It was just so moving. Like my friends and I, we were all like, we'd been bawling our eyes out because it was so emotionally, like, in a good way, heavy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like it was nice. So I do remember saying goodbye to you, but I was also kind of drunk.
I wouldn't notice, and I know nothing about what was going on, so I'm going to pretend like you didn't say that, but it's real. It's real. I'm messing with you.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic to get to know you and spend that time. And like you said, it was cool that we'd run into each other at so many random moments. And
well, I just wanted to keep giving you a lot of encouragement, because, and I remember I told you right before Donnie stepped to you, I told you, I said, knowing him, I said, I'm pretty sure he's heard your show. He knows what's up. He knows the whole bit. But also, too, the thing that I wanted to come across, you, if you don't mind me saying this to you in public, but the thing that I really wanted to press upon you was your brand is your brand. You have an incredible brand, just like how Rat Sales brand's incredible. The good thing about that, I want to touch upon that too. To see you, Chair Chatter, and y'all together. See, I'm gonna say this again. I wish more of the hip hop podcasts were like that. But see, in hip hop, 90% of the time is dog eats dog. Is like, well, our podcast is better than theirs. And I'm like, it's not a competition.
Mm-hmm.
There's room for everybody. So my thing is to see y'all guys conversing with each other, trading notes and helping each other out. And just the other night, Rat Tail and Chair Chat did a whole thing on Instagram, and I was up in there. And the thing is just that that made me feel good to see that, because I love all y'all guys' platforms, but you in particular, I want to share that with you because of the couple of conversations that we had over those 3 or 4 days. Mm-hmm. And I kept telling you, continue to walk in your confidence, continue to walk in your brand, because it could be that one situation that could easily turn things around and make people, because it's not just because it's dedicated to new kids, it's because it's dedicated to all things of nostalgia that we love, be it pop culture, music, movies, fashion. You have a lot to say too. You have a lot to say too.
Yeah.
You have a lot to say. So for me, it's just
that encouraged me a lot coming from you. Thank you. It really did.
Because I really mean it, because I'm just like, what's there not to love? What's there not to love about what you do? Your spirit is amazing. Your smile is amazing. So why not? Like, why not put that to use and keep promoting what you do in addition? Because you don't know how God's going to bless you. So I have to give that to you.
And you're teaching me it's not arrogance to be confident and believe in what you do. That's not arrogance.
No,
it's just,
at this point, every real human being, and I'm gonna say, because I was called arrogant at one point. It was so funny because I'm just sitting there laughing. I'm just like, you really think that I am? I said, that's interesting. I said, because last time I checked, I spend more time promoting people on my page than I do my own stuff. So some arrogant motherfucker I turn out to be. Wow, I just care about these people. I thought that was the opposite. But, you know, some people just like to hear themselves talk, as you know. Some people just want to have some point and say, like, oh, he's arrogant. I said, no, I'm just convinced. I'm confident in who I am. I know who I am. I know what I bring to the table. And most importantly, I love people. I don't walk around. If that was the case, I wouldn't have put that famous disclaimer up. Did you know that every fan came to me on that first day and said to me, Law, I just want to come and say hello because I saw your tweet about don't bring that weird shit on the boat, because I meant that. Because remember, I was going to the fans remembered that tweet. That's how you know that they really, really paid attention to what I say, because they knew what I meant. And just to clear up for people that didn't know what I meant, to clear that up. The reason why I said that thing about don't bring the weird shit and say hello or yell if you see me is because every time I was at either a New Edition concert or the New Kids concert, I would see a whole bunch of fans. You know, a lot of fans would come up on me, hey, what up, Lord? Let's take a picture of them. And of course, I do all that. Again, some arrogant motherfucker I am. I'm taking selfies with everybody today. So people would hit me up later in my DMs 2 days later about, well, I saw you, but I didn't want to disturb what? I wasn't having a meeting.
I'm guilty of doing that.
I wasn't having a meeting at a New Kids concert. I'm enjoying myself. And then the thing is that if I didn't want to be Barbara, Naomi, why the hell would I come to a place where you know if I run into 30 people that I know, they're going to stop me or say what's up to me? Come on. I'm from the hood. I'm from the hood. When people see you walking, yo, Lord, what up? I'm from the streets. I'm used to that. To this very day, when I go to my old neighborhood, I'll see my uncle's old friends, the OGs, as we call them. Oh, shit. What up, Lord? Came around for a minute. You came to see us? I said, of course. You know how I do. We're from that environment. So picture me at a New Kids or New Edition concert, and I don't say hello to somebody. I said, no, you didn't try. You got caught up in this thing thinking that I'm probably so into I'm Planet 12. I'm Planet 12 Law. I'm not going to see you. I just sit to hang out with D Nice and Donnie Wahlberg. And I'm like, man, no. If I don't want to be bothered, I wouldn't come out and I would just hang backstage all night.
Yeah.
And not be bothered with anybody. So my thing was just that I had to warn people before we got on the boat. If you see me, say what's up. If I don't happen to see you or hear you, you can yell, and I'll stop the conversation I'm having, and I'll acknowledge you and be like, I see you, what's up? And then, of course, if I'm done with that conversation, I'm gonna definitely want to say hello to you or give you a hug or if it's a dude, give you a pound or some shit. You know what I mean? Because that's me. I love people. So my thing is that how in the hell could I possibly be arrogant or full of myself or not wanting to speak when I just gave a big ass disclaimer about people coming to say hello to me?
It's true. It's all about how you treat people that really determines your
That
character.
part. Thank
Right?
you. I'm glad you knew that because it felt good to see people quoting my own thing to me because they see that, okay, Law is really for real. He really meant that. So that made me feel good when fans were hitting me up 2 days later and was like, oh, I got my picture with Law. Like he said, with something like he's really a man of his word. Like he gave me a big hug and I saw him again at dinner. I think I sat with a couple of them at dinner at some place because that's really who I am when I go anywhere. That's not me being close. I know there's going to be a point in time I'm not going to be able to do that all the time. So I cherish those moments with the people who I was able to hang out with and share some jewels and drop some gems and tell some stories that they probably may want to hear or whatever the case may be. Or just simply have jokes and just have fun and laugh. I love to laugh, as you know. I'm a clown. I love to laugh and joke around. And I love being around people that love to do the same thing. If you take yourself too seriously, I can't be around you. That's a turnoff.
Yeah.
No,
I agree. I'm glad that you made the time to talk to me about all of the fun events of the last couple of weeks. Thank you so much for your time today. And I'm just so happy for you that you had such an amazing experience for your very first cruise.
It's crazy. I'm still, and people are still tripping off the fact that it was my first New Kids cruise, but that goes to show you me and Donnie's relationship because of the times that we've spent together so far, and because he made the announcement that we're working together and doing some stuff together, people automatically thought that I was on the last 9 or 10 cruise. I said, no, it's my first New Kids cruise. But I get why people thought that. People thought that I had been on here before. I'm like, no, this is my first.
Yeah.
Because they understood the energy between me and my big brothers is real. But because in a normal setting, if it wasn't on the cruise, that would be our energy anyway. You gotta remember, on this last mixtape tour, me and Danny had the dopest conversation after the show was over. When he was getting on the bus and stuff. And then, of course, me and John, John's reaction every time he sees me, he's like, damn, dude, came all the way out. I'm like, yeah, man, you kidding me? So it's almost like people see that and they automatically think, like, okay, he must have been on here 20 million. I'm like, no, it's my first. Because, again, every time that a cruise was happening, I had my own shows. I have to remind the fans, I do have my own career, Yeah. I was being sarcastic and joking, but I get me when I say, I'm like, I can't just drop a gig that's paying me buku bucks just to go and hang and party with my big brothers and some of my other fans. I said, but God's going to make a way, and God did. And when he made a way, Donnie was like, I got a surprise for your ass.
I'm hoping we get to do it again.
I can tell you right now, and I think if you ask Donnie, he'll say the same thing too. It's definitely happening again. You heard the announcement he made at the after party. It's definitely happening again. It's a matter of how we're going to get it done. Now, mind you, I may make the announcement out of full pride and pushing the narrative forward, but when my big brother confirms it, that's how you know it's real. And he said it. He said it in front of y'all that night. He said,
he sure did.
Law and Donnie after party, 2023, 2024, whenever we get a chance to do this. So best believe that I am definitely one way or the other going to do it again at any capacity. I will be at the next one or probably the next one after that, depending on anything else. Now, if something crazy changes where it may be beneficial, because just so you know something about Donnie was one situation where he wanted me to come to the Connecticut show during the mixtape tour. I came to the New York show already. It's like, he said, you want to come out to the Connecticut show? I said, you know what, Donnie? I looked into it. That's the far part of Connecticut. Because, I live closer to the early part of Connecticut where you can get on the ferry and go to Stamford and be there within 20 minutes. This one was a little bit further out. And I was like, dude, I got a show tomorrow. And he was like, you ain't even got to explain it. Go make your money, little bro. He knows. Donnie knows. Because look, Donnie got to make his money when you get on that set. It's still a business, no matter what. It's fun. It's love.
You're doing what you love, but you still got to go to work.
Business is business. He signed a contract, which I'm pretty sure they negotiated on some very good terms. So Mr. Wahlberg makes sure that he is diligently on that set, no matter what.
Exactly.
So, hello, it has to be done. So I'm just grateful. I'm humbled. I'm thankful, in their words, of one of my favorite New Kid songs. I'm just very honored that my big brothers love me the way that they do, and I love them equally the same way, if not more. It's something tangible to hold on to, along with some of the rest of the incredible new fans I made along the way, and even the ones that have been rocking with me since 2008, even the ones that have been rocking with me since MySpace, going even further back, before Twitter, before Instagram. It's just amazing. So again, thank you for having me on the show. Just to even come and share my excitement and my joy that I'm still feeling some 2 weeks later after the cruise. It's amazing.
Always. And thank you for being so amazing. And I'll talk to you hopefully again soon.
Oh, yes, we will. Definitely. Listen, woman, you keep on keeping on with this incredible podcast. They done heard me talk about you. I done bragged about you. That was a highlight for me during this cruise, was being able to meet you in person. Then we get to hang out multiple times. I'm like, that don't happen when you first meet somebody on a big ass cruise. I'm like, we keep running into each other. I kept bugging me out. Remember, I'm like, I could be in the most honest place. I could be in the most honest place. Because remember, even in the whole 4 days, there's still certain parts of the boat I didn't even make it to. Ain't that some shit? That's how big that boat is. I'm like, I didn't even make it to certain parts. And I'm just like, but here I am. I'm over here chilling. I look, Naomi, that's you? What's up? What you doing over here? You can't make this shit up. I love it. You can't make it up. You cannot make this type of thing up. But again, God's energy is everything. But yeah, thank you again, just for being you. Much blessings. As you know, I'm always here when you need me. I don't mind being a recurring guest on the show. I actually just love your energy, your atmosphere, and you continue being beautifully you. Keep continuing to let that light shine, and don't let anybody take your smile away.
God bless you. Thank you.
God bless you.
You will be back on one day. We'll do it again.
Oh, hey, let me know. I'm around.
All right. You have a wonderful rest of your night, okay?
You too, lovely. Thank you.
Join me next week for more tales of our adventures out at sea with the new kids on the block.